Hi, my name is Blair, and welcome back to my channel, Bright as Blaze, where you can enjoy mostly plant-based recipes that are flavorful, balanced, high in fiber and protein. Enjoy! Let's get started, and don't forget to subscribe. The first recipe that I have for breakfast on this day are buckwheat pancakes. Now I use buckwheat because it's actually better for you in terms of managing your blood sugar levels. It doesn't cause you to spike quite as bad, which is perfect for a sweet breakfast. I'm also using a sugar substitute, stevia, that's a plant-based substitute, and lots of cinnamon, which helps repress your blood sugar while still adding a little bit of sweetness. So the actual measurements for this recipe will be on my blog, but these pancakes are a filling and flavorful with the cinnamon, and I love topping them with fruit compote that I make from scratch, or honey and peanut butter, or fresh fruit as well. This batter is also pretty good as a waffle. I have one of those cute mini waffle makers and I put it in there. Those were actually delicious too. I might like those better, but it's a little more to clean, so I did pancakes today. For dinner this day, I made some sweet potato gnocchi, which is one of my favorite ways to eat sweet potato now. It's strange, but gnocchi is just basically a potato-based pasta. It's chewy, and you can season it however you like when you make it from scratch. You don't need to mix this dough too much. You don't want it, if you overwork it, then it can get sticky and become a huge mess. So you just want to mix till combined, and then use a pinching motion to get it into a log-like shape, and then cut. And I know you've probably seen people use a pasta press to get texture, but you don't need any of that. I don't do that. I just drop these chopped gnocchi pieces into boiling water, and you'll see exactly how I do that. For the exact measurements and recipe, please check out my blog. The potato to flour ratio is about 2 to 1, 2 potato, 1 flour. So that's why I advise having a food scale to measure, because each potato is a little different. based sauce. It is once again olive oil, white wine vinegar based sauce with spring onion and other vegetables. And I really enjoy this spring onion I got from the farmer's market. It was so good, and I wish I had more. But this was the very end of spring, beginning of summer. So there are no more. I can just remember this in my memory until next season. So for the sauce, I like to caramelize the spring onions. I cut the whites and the stiffer parts of the base of the green and cook those, and then everything else will go right in my gnocchi bowl. You'll see this serves 2, so the portions I'm making here are for 2, not just for 1. I completely forgot to say I made some seitan-based sausage, but you can use regular store-bought sausage. I just frequently don't eat the meat substitutes because they are higher in sodium, so just keep that in mind. That would add a lot more saltiness to this meal, but also a lot of flavor. I always season my pasta with nutritional yeast, garlic, black pepper, and when it all comes together and everything's nice and browned, I'll toss it with my olive oil sweet potato gnocchi. For a quick and delicious breakfast, I usually like to do some sort of veggie that I roast a little bit or brown a little bit, and then I'll pair it with a protein. In this case, I'm using eggs today. You could use like a yellow lentil based frittata, or you can use tofu, whatever you prefer. In this case, I'm using eggs. I really enjoy having a chili oil of some kind in my fridge, or a chili sauce, which is a little lower in calorie and fat. I couldn't find a chili sauce, so I've been using chili oil recently. And then I also season to your preference. I use nutritional yeast, garlic, black pepper, sometimes sage if I want a little more of a meaty flavor. But once it's all cooked up, I add it to my plate, and then I drizzle some sriracha or ketchup. And then I paired this with my homemade sourdough discard whole wheat bagels, which are delicious. I love them. I make them every week now. Okay, so my final meal is a cold buckwheat noodle. This was a day where the heat wave really hit my area, so I couldn't even think about cooking for a long time with a hot stove and letting it heat up my whole apartment. So that's why this is a cold buckwheat noodle salad. I'm still experimenting with the recipe here because homemade buckwheat noodles can be a little fragile, so you have to be very gentle when you're cooking them and rinsing them. But yeah, so I use about a 50-50 or an 60-40 ratio of buckwheat and whole wheat flour. And then I salt it, and then I add in water until it comes together. The recipe will be on my blog, but it's not there yet. So just keep an eye out for that if you want to give these a try. But if not, you can also just use store-bought soba noodles. Not everything has to be hard like what I'm doing here. So I start with this soba noodle base, the buckwheat noodle base, and then I also prepare some cabbage to go with it, green onions, and if you would like, you could do some other really crunchy vegetables. If you wanted to do red onion for more onion flavor, or shredded carrots, that would also be delicious. On this day, I kept it simple, and I just had white cabbage with the spring onion. This is an Asian-inspired salad, so after I add the veggies, you'll see me add plenty of soy sauce, I add some ginger, I add some sesame oil, and then a little bit of honey, which may not always be traditional, but I like a sweet and savory, like Asian-style sauce, so that's what you see me adding here. You can also add garlic if you wanted, but I don't think I added that today. And this was so refreshing and delicious, and I wasn't in the kitchen for longer than like 2 minutes in terms of cooking anything on the stove. Thanks for watching, and check out my blog for the detailed recipes.